Peter Shillingsworth, I'm from Enngonia, New South Wales. We are currently in isolation. We are not getting any help or support from any other organisation. No organisation, even in Burke, will support us. We have a population of about 100 people. We have 25 cases of COVID. We need help from anyone that can help us. We are not getting that help. The Burke Police is not letting anyone in or any other organisation. They're stopping everyone. Can someone please help us? We need help out in Enngonia. We need help and support.
The remote New South Wales town of Enngonia has been left reeling by the state's COVID outbreak. At least 20 Indigenous residents have tested positive, and with stay-at-home orders in place, locals say they're having trouble accessing food and other essentials. The nearest supermarket and hospital is almost 100 k's away in Burke. The town is also mourning the loss of a beloved elder to COVID. And Bruce Shillingsworth Jr is very concerned about his relatives in the area, and we spoke to him earlier. Bruce, how bad is the situation for your relatives in Enngonia?
So for those that don't know where Enngonia is, it's 100 kilometres from Burke. So Burke's the nearest store there. Look, the community's starving out there. There's no services being delivered to them. So at the moment, it seems an urgency to get some food and essentials out to them, including medication and so forth.
Just on that, so Western New South Wales local health district, they've said, this is a quote, they are delivering groceries and other products like fresh produce and meat to households as required, as well as comprehensive household support as needed. So that's what they're saying. Are you saying that that's simply untrue?
Well, look, for some reason, and it's not a surprise that there's a disconnect between the decision makers and those here on the ground, and they're saying that they're not getting the support. And I'm one of those that live in the community as well.
Bruce, what are the consequences of COVID getting into a community like Enngonia?
So, as we know, these communities have been neglected for a number of years. Government have not addressed a lot of the underlying issues such as housing, education and so forth. So during this pandemic, what we're starting to see is just these underlying issues resurface again, and they become worse over this pandemic.
Bruce, the elders are threatening to stop COVID testing and vaccinations if they don't get food. We can understand why they're threatening that, but are you concerned that that might backfire?
No, look, not at all. I think that's a decision that they've made within the community. They know what the repercussions are. At the moment, their heads are only being counted as statistics for COVID and vaccinations. But what the real need is here on the ground, people got to eat, people got to survive. And that's the reality of it.
So what would the best way be for authorities to support the community?
Well, what they need to do is really get down to the grassroots people and ask what's going on on the ground and in community. And we don't see that at the moment. Nobody wants to go near these communities, but what they've done is just isolated them and treated them like lepers.
Well, Bruce, we hope they've heard what you've had to say tonight. We appreciate your time.
No worries. Yalo.
My name is Peter Shillingsworth. I speak on behalf of my uncle, Dudley Shillingsworth, who is the elder of the Enngonia community. We are shutting down the Clare Art Village. We don't want no government organisation, police, health services or any Aboriginal organisation to enter the reserve unless they speak to my uncle Dudley Shillingsworth, who wishes to speak to the people who allow the food to enter Enngonia and open up the roads.
Do you have any fire Smith here at the moment?
It's not mandatory that I tell you that.
We need to know where he's isolated.
Is it mandatory that we tell you those in the house or not? Is it mandatory that we tell you those in the house? Is it mandatory that we tell you? Is it mandatory that we tell you? Answer the question. Is it mandatory that we tell you? Is it mandatory that we tell you? Is it mandatory that we tell you? Well, what are you staying underneath for? Nah, you're not. You're the one that put a stop to everything that everyone that try to support Enngonia. You're the police, the one who's stopping everything.
Okay. So is there anything that we can help you with today?
And you cry about all those people bringing COVID into the community, but you can bring hundreds and hundreds of police and military.
So we're here to assist you, okay? So what I'm trying to find out is just Sonny, Declan, Sandra,
It's not military. It's not mandatory that I tell you.
Rightio. So
Can't you understand? Is it mandatory that I tell you?
I'm asking you.
So you can't answer the question. This is going to go. This is going live on Facebook right now.
Pardon? Pardon?
You heard what I said.
I didn't hear what you said. I was talking. My question to you is we need to know where they are because they're COVID positive, okay? So we need to
Is it mandatory that I tell you? Answer the question.
yes, I need to know where they are.
So it's mandatory that I tell you.
Yep.
No, it's not.
Because I need to know where they're staying. Because they've been given an isolation order for 14 days and I need to be
They're out of isolation. They're out of isolation on Friday.
okay. Well, why didn't you just tell me that then? Do they have a COVID clearance certificate?
Well, you should know all this shit. You're the one supposed to bring the paperwork around too with fucking community health. That does fuck all for our community.
All the community health are the people that issue the certificates. They all the police. We don't issue the certificates. So I'm just trying to be pretty reasonable with you, I reckon, and just ask.
Yeah, well, we're fed up with you.
Okay. So is there anything that we can do to help you?
No.
Okay. So I noticed this morning that you put a video on Facebook about wanting assistance and that no one's helping you guys.
Yeah, because the police is stopping every fucking organisation that's trying to help us.
Okay. So what is it that you guys need up here?
We already told you what we need.
Well, here I am trying to help you. So tell me what you want.
What's your pull? You not know no area command?
I can try and help you. If you don't let me know what you need, how am I ever supposed to help you? Is there anything that we can try to organize?
You've already told what we need and what we want.
Okay, we didn't tell me.
We're not going to go through it again.
Okay, well, if you don't want to tell me, mate, like, how am I supposed to help you? Like,
But you got 2 strikes and you try to make it that you got pulled.
well, I better try, I'll speak to the bosses and I'll try to arrange it for you.
We've already tried to speak to the boss. The boss does fuck all about it.
Okay, well, look, here I am trying to help you, okay? If you don't want the help, that's fine. But here I am trying to offer it to you. Okay, I'm trying to help. We can speak to Barry Hooker, we can try and get the services up here, we can try and get you guys food, there's all sorts of stuff we can do. But if you're not going to tell me how you need assistance, then how are we supposed to assist you?
We've already told you over and over.
Okay,
We're not going to keep repeating ourselves.
can you tell me again? It's fine if you put a video on Facebook about it, fine. But I'm come here to try and help you. And if you don't want to then tell us what you need assistance with, then how are we supposed to try and change it and help you guys up here?
You've already been told over and over. You've done fuck all about it. You stopped all the organisations that try to bring us food and everything else into the community.
So I know I've heard some people are bringing food boxes up here to assist you guys.
Like I say again, you've cried about saying that they could be COVID carriers, but yet again you bring hundreds of police and 100 army into the communities.
Okay, well I'm not going to talk to you further. So is there anything that we can assist you with or get you or help your family with?
Well, not you anyway. You're only 2 striver.
Okay, well who is it that who do you expect to come and help you then? If I can't help you,
Well, someone better than Jeff Little anyway.
okay. Well, who then? Like, if you don't want to talk to me about it, maybe I can try and get someone up here or someone
I'll just ask you to leave now.
that might help you.
I'm asking you to leave.
Okay, well that's fine. We're not in your front yard, so we can stay and talk to you, mate.
I'm asking you to leave instead of keep staying there harassing me.
Alright, well I'm not harassing you, I'm just trying to help you. So that's
I'm asking you to leave.
alright. Okay, is there anything else that we can help you with?
I'm asking you to leave.